My name is Roger Gaskell. The company is Kognitio. You probably haven't heard of us, but I'm going to talk a little bit about a use case that we have that we think is very interesting for this industry. So a little bit about the background. Although you probably haven't heard of Kognitio in terms of Hadoop, we're not a new entrant to the market. We're new to the Hadoop market. We actually have a very long and an extensive history in the development of in-memory, massively parallel data analysis software. Traditionally, we've delivered this via appliances, via software and in the cloud, but the reason we're here at the show is it's now available on Hadoop. So we are currently focused on bringing what is unusual in this space, which is a very mature, fully functional, very fast, supports high concurrency SQL interface to Hadoop-based data. We can actually do much more than that, but that's the current message that we're talking about, because we think this is a serious issue in the Hadoop space. The customer we're going to talk about is a large, well-known credit card provider, but unfortunately they don't allow any vendor, they don't endorse any vendor, so we can't mention them by name, but they're pretty recognizable by some of the descriptions. And basically they are recognized by most people as one of the most innovative credit card providers. They have an extensive Hadoop implementation, and we're looking for ways to make that data accessible to their business users and allow the business users to continue to use their existing tools or new tools that were on the market, but not specifically Hadoop-based tools. So Kognitio is used extensively within this credit card provider. It's used across the organization, and it's used primarily as a in-memory acceleration layer, primarily for Hadoop-based data, but it also can pull data from other systems that the customer has, including Netezza systems, DB2 systems, and Teradata. The data is brought into memory, and queries are accelerated. And we have really, in this particular customer, become the standard way of interfacing business users to their Hadoop-based data. But I really want to talk about one particular use case in this particular customer, and that is where they wanted to provide very sophisticated and highly detailed Tableau dashboards to their corporate clients. So each of their corporate clients who use this credit card provider's credit cards across the business would be able to analyze their organization's spending, see what people were spending their expenses on, so that it was more controllable. There was thousands of clients, and they had a very demanding set of performance criteria because they wanted the clients to have a good user experience. The data for this was going to be sourced from a large Hadoop cluster. It's actually a 9 petabyte Hadoop cluster, so it's very large. And what they wanted to avoid was having to create a Tableau extract per client, because initially they were going to have 10,000 clients, ultimately up to 100,000 clients connecting to the system, and they didn't want to create extracts per client, because you can imagine what an administration overhead that would be. So they wanted to put in a single data source that was capable of supplying allowing them to run all of the queries they needed to do to render all of these dashboards for 10,000 clients, and all come from a single source. And as you can imagine, that was produced very heavy throughput requirements on that particular platform that was going to do that. There was 10,000 clients. The concurrency levels were going to be high. 12 billion rows of data for the 10,000 clients, with the clients seeing data that was only relevant to themselves, and the platform that was providing this data needed to be able to make sure that only that data that was relevant to the client would be seen. The dashboards were very complex, and actually resulted in in excess of 100 queries to render each dashboard. So I had many tabs that the client could look at, and the whole thing had to appear on the desktop within 7 seconds of them saying they wanted to see the dashboard. And they had an SLA which says the whole render would take less than 7 seconds. Subsequent drill downs into the dashboard would have to be sub-second. So this is actually a massive query workload for a back-end system if you do the mathematics on that. So the solution we put in place for them was a Kognitio instance. It was configured with 5 terabytes of active memory, 160 CPU cores. And the system, Kognitio allows them to set it up so it seamlessly sucks the data out of HDFS into the RAM at high speed, so the data could be very regularly updated. And the platform currently is delivering about 2,000 queries per second, Tableau type analytical queries, about 2,000 per second, and can support 500 of these sessions running concurrently. So 500 dashboard renders, not 500 clicks, but basically initial render of the dashboard, it can do 500 concurrently. And within the SLA, we are achieving 98% of the dashboards rendered in under 4 seconds. So huge query workloads. The key thing about this is a scalable solution. So at the moment they have it configured with 5 terabytes of RAM and 160 cores. But if you add more CPU cores, you can get more throughput. And if you add more memory, you can get a larger data capacity. And Kognitio has very high limits in terms of its scalability. We can run to thousands of servers and tens of thousands of cores. So this is a relatively small instance for us. But we think it's a good example of what can be achieved. And I don't think it's widely accepted today that you can have very high concurrent usage of Hadoop-based data without putting in another machine in the way. But the Kognitio software allows this particular client to get these very, very high levels, which I think are pretty much unseen in the industry. So that's basically the use case. If you'd like to know a little bit more and maybe understand more about the client, because unfortunately I can't talk directly about their name, then we're at booth 931, or you can visit our website where you can actually download the software completely for free. There's no charge for the software, it's free software. And so we suggest you go try it and see if you can achieve the same results as we did at this particular customer. Okay, thank you.